Hello everyone, it is Sam here from EDMProd.com, and in this video, quick video, I'm going to show you how to add glitchy, complex sort of effects to any kind of sound you want. It can be a vocal, it can be a drum section, whatever. In this case, I'm using a pluck, and that's how I'm going to show you the concept. So I'm just going to show you what it sounds like first of all, and then we'll get into it. So I've got a simple pluck here. Pretty straightforward, got a ton of reverb on it. And what I've done is I've added these sort of glitchy effects in. So I'm just going to play through that 8 bars. So to solo these, you've got these sort of, if you listen to BT or those kind of artists who really like doing that complex kind of stuff, you'll hear this. And the initial thought when you hear something like that is, wow, that must take a lot of work, to get that kind of sound. It really doesn't. It's actually super simple. So I'm going to show you how. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete the track, and we're going to do this. So delete that as well, do it from scratch. So to start off with, the easiest, quickest and most simple way to get that kind of effect is to use a ping-pong delay. Now you can do this in any workstation. I'm using Ableton. So if you're using Logic or FL, just use a delay, one of their delay plugins to do it. You can get the same result. So there are a few things you want to do when it comes to the delay. The first thing is I turn the dry wet down straight away initially because it will sound bad, and you want to turn sync off. That's really important, and I'll show you why. But basically, we want to be moving this to get the glitchy effect. So if I play this at the moment, we have this really ugly sound because it's been delayed by 1 millisecond. But when I move it, you get these really cool, glitchy kind of effects. And that's what we want. So you can leave it at that. You can just simply insert a new audio track, change it to resampling, click on the arm button, and then click record, and just play around with that time parameter. So like this. And now you've got this this audio that's super glitchy, and then you can simply come in here and disable the ping-pong delay. But there's another way to do it. We can go more in depth than that. We can group this. And then what we can do, and this makes things a lot easier, is we can assign a few things to macros. So I'm going to assign the dry wet to macro 1. I'm going to do the same with the time. So now what will happen when I play this, if I move that knob, both things will change at once. So that's kind of cool. We can also do it with the feedback. I'm not going to touch the feedback from now. And then you can start looking at adding other effects. So we can, a ping-pong delay sounds great, but what if we want a bit of distortion? We could, assign this to macro 1 so that when we move it up, it becomes more distorted. We could do the same with reverb. So we could assign, say, give it a bit of decay and assign the dry wet to macro 1. But there are a few things when you add these kind of extra effects that sort of screw it up a little. So this bit reduction, if I turn it all the way up, it's too distorted for my liking. So what you want to do, if you've never used Ableton's macro sort of map before, you click on map and you can sort of play around with these parameters. So this is the redux here. I don't want the maximum to be 20. I want it to be something like 4. So now when I move it up, it doesn't become as distorted. I'm going to do the same with the reverb. I don't want it to be 100% wet. I want it to be maybe maximum 50. And I also want the ping-pong delay. I don't want it to go down to 1 millisecond. I think maybe 30 odd is a good minimum point. So now, you know, we've got a much better sounding kind of thing. You could also map the size to macro 1 to get some interesting effects, and you could reverse that. You know, one great thing about Ableton is when you're using macros, you can invert the range. So room size here, I could invert it, and we get this instead. Really cool effect. I'm not going to be using reverb for now. I kind of prefer it just with the ping-pong delay and distortion. You can add anything you want. I mean, this is something you have to experiment with. You can try different delays, filtered delays. You can try adding phases, flanges, all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to stick with this. And what we're going to do, as I showed you briefly before, is insert an audio track and change it to resampling over here. And basically, what resampling means is that it will take in any audio that's playing. So if I had, say, the drums playing and I clicked record, it would record the drums and the main pluck. So if we listen to this. And that's not, obviously just not drums, there's basses in there as well. So we want to solo this pluck, and it was already soloed, but just something to keep in mind if you're resampling. You want the sound or whatever you're, you know, in this case the glitch effect, you want it only to come from the pluck, so you want to solo that. So it's the only sound that's playing, and basically it will take in any sort of input. And this is kind of necessary when you're doing these glitch effects, because while you can automate it, it's just a lot easier to record in the result of playing around with this macro or excuse my voice, the delay time. So what I'm going to do is basically just start recording, and I'll move this macro knob, and maybe halfway through I might disable this distortion and just use a delay. Now, one thing I'm going to try to do is actually move this macro knob, make the most drastic, I suppose, movements at the end of each 2 or 4 bars in 8 bars. I don't want there to be glitchy effects everywhere, mostly for transitions. So you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to record and count in, and then we'll get going. Okay, cool. And then we can go back to our, you know, pluck layer, whatever original sound you're using, and just delete that so that you've got the original sound. And now we've got this track of the original pluck and effects. And this is probably the hardest part in the process. You have to find sections of it that work or you like. So normally what I like to do is go through and start deleting things I don't like. So obviously we don't want that. That could work. I really like that. And that there. I don't like that at all. Kind of like that little piece there. And that piece. So now it's about arranging it. You don't want to put, say, this piece here over here because it's using different notes. It's a different chord. So you want to be quite careful when you do this. But I'm just going to play it and see how it sounds. Now, one thing I like to do is actually remove parts of the original sound. So if we've got a interesting enough glitchy effect, we can do this. Another thing you can do is sort of put this main pluck or original sound into the background just using reverb. So for example, you would automate the dry wet so that here where the glitchy effect comes in, that sort of moves into the background. So you can do that, or just simply delete it. So no, that's a little bit too harsh. I want to kind of pull it down. But you get the idea. You need to do quite a lot of, or sometimes depending on the kind of resampled audio you get, you need to do a bit of processing just to make it fit. One thing you can do to sort of speed up that process is record a few lines of your glitch effect. So you could make one audio track and then you could do another one and another one. You get maybe 3 or 4 tracks of this resampled audio, glitch, and then you can pick and choose the best from there, muting and unmuting as you go, because the process of making that glitch sound is very sort of random. You can, I suppose, put a pattern to it or work it out mathematically, but I like to just play around and you're going to get bad sounds, you're going to get good sounds, and it's just a process of trial and error. So I hope that made sense. It's a lot more simple than it seems. Again, I encourage you to experiment, use different effects. You could do it with just reverb if you wanted, reverb in size. If you have any tips like this, let me know. If you have any different ways of doing this, let me know. And of course, if you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll answer it for you. Peace.